All right, on this episode of Bowks Talking Bouts, excited to be talking to an individual set to compete at LFA 155, which transpires on March 24th. A very compelling lightweight matchup as Yemi Oduwole and Adam Assenza get out there to test skills, and happy to have Adam on the show as always. How's your day going there, man?
It's going great. How's yours?
Oh, I'm doing awesome. Just, enjoying my day and just, getting to do MMA related stuff. So it's always a, good time for me. But I imagine this one is a good one for you, just getting ready to, kind of return, especially after a pair of, bouts fell out and obviously factors beyond your control there. But is that kind of a sentiment you're feeling, like a certain level of relief, just knowing you have a fight locked in and getting back to it and all?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, sometimes these things happen and, you don't get to actually compete no matter, how hard the work you put in. So it's just nice to be back on fight week.
And I guess just not to dwell on it too much, obviously, but the last one struck me as kind of curious just because you were looking to have, a BTC fight. But I was seeing per that video you posted on Instagram that the Ontario Athletic Commission doesn't allow fighters to compete with metal plates in their extremities. And apparently that was kind of disclosed, in super close proximity to the fight. Was that kind of frustrating a little bit? I mean, based on what you're saying, it seems like you're kind of like, oh, well, beyond my control, just onward and upward, whatever's next. But what were your thoughts on all of that? Because I guess kind of looking at that, you would think that would have been, I guess, sorted out a while before and wouldn't have been a thing that close to the fight. What did you think about all that?
Yeah, no, it was definitely a surprise to me. I hadn't heard of it before, but I guess there's a difference between having a metal rod repaired on your shin and opposed to a metal plate. So a metal plate, I guess, is a bigger surface area. It's a lot more dense. I didn't know the difference, but apparently in Ontario and apparently the States as well, it's illegal to fight with a metal plate across your shin. The Ontario Athletic Commission did the best they could. They reached out to King of the Cage. They reached out to a bunch of other promotions and said, have you ever had anything like this before? But none of them have. Just from what I've been told, this guy has competed in the States and stuff like that in the past with this metal plate. So I don't know if they just caught it. I don't know what it was, but regardless, it's in the past now. I was ready then, I'm ready now, and, on to the next.
Yeah, for sure. And what was the excitement level just getting to, get back to competing under the LFA banner? Obviously you're a, stalwart with BTC, so you like competing for those guys, but what was the, I guess, temperament when the LFA bout offer kind of came your way? It seems like you enjoy competing with those guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they were trying to get me something before Christmas last year, and that just didn't work out. And, this opportunity came up, and I just jumped to it.
Yeah, for sure. And, I mean, definitely a great fight here. And, I mean, not overlooking it at all, but I'm just kind of curious because, one of our past talks, I was referencing your, title accolades with BTC and B2 fighting series, and you were like, oh, yeah, I'm just looking to really, fight as much as possible, and my goal is to get to the UFC. And just with reports out there saying UFC might make a foray into Western Canada or even possibly Toronto this summer, what were your thoughts on all of that? Again, in the context of not overlooking this fight, but I imagine that would get you excited, I would think.
Yeah, it's in my ear. Obviously, it's exciting, but like I said, when I'm this close to a fight, I don't care about anything else.
Yeah, for sure. I guess a fun thing to look at if you get the desired outcome in this one and everything. But I love what you're doing with some of your other endeavors too. Like I was saying before the interview, it seems like you've got a few different things you have your hands in. I saw you had a post a few weeks ago with, Spencer Wilcox and talking about the pleasure of, getting to work with him in his professional boxing journey through the Maverick Protein, umbrella and just that outlet there. Can you talk about just how that's been, not even just with Spencer Wilcox, but just, helping people in combat sports on the protein end of things and all?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my other, I guess, job and background is I'm a strength conditioning specialist and a therapist, so I train a lot of high-end fighters, in regards to their strength conditioning, and, just the Wilcox brothers in general. They're some of the highest-ranked boxers in Canada, and, Spencer is quickly following in their footsteps, as to be one of the up-and-coming top prospects in his weight division, and, one of the big things that fighters deal with that most people are either aware or not aware of is, they're always sore. On top of lifting weights, on top of doing the fight training, recovery is a big issue, especially with fighters, right? So, I work with some, smart guys, and we had developed a CBD transfused protein powder, and that's the Maverick protein. And now most people have probably tried CBD before, but unless they're taking a proper dosage, it's not really noticeable in regards to, just the effects of it about, with recovery and decreasing inflammation and anxiety and a bunch of other issues that CBD is actually good, used for. So we put the proper dosage in the Maverick protein, and, I've been supplying it with my fighters that I train, and they're seeing phenomenal results, and they're great advocates, help me push my brand. So what you saw, I guess, Spencer was thanking me for obviously the training, and obviously thanking me for sponsoring him for his fight with the Maverick protein, because he had, he felt like he recovered, faster than any of his other camps, and he felt a lot better through his camp, while he was taking the product.
Yeah, and from what I can tell, like, it seems like you're talking about things like, proper CBD dosage and maybe some other previous products based on you using it for your own recuperation. Maybe there's like negligible amounts as far as like helping out with the inflammation and stuff like that. So was that kind of the case, like your own anecdotal experiences with CBD? It's like, okay, here's like the, fully optimized amount of CBD that would help an athlete. Like, did you use your, I guess, anecdotal experience as a fighter to, put that into the product to help these other fighters? It kind of seems like it.
Yeah, well, it simply comes down to the fact that, I've been given free CBD from companies since, CBD was a thing, right? And, for me, I've taken it and I never really noticed a difference. And then one of my, performance doctors is like, oh, well, you need to dose, minimum 20 to 40 drops, before bed is your best bet in regards to recovery, especially for like the amount that you train and so on and so forth. And, I tried it. I was like, oh, okay, 20 to 40 drops, I'll give it a try. And it was like a night and day difference. And then I kept doing it every night for the rest of that week. And it's like I was on one of my heaviest training, points in my camp. And I felt fully recovered, fully fresh from it. And it's like, I wonder how many, I thought to myself, and I've asked other people, when you've tried CBD, how much do you take? They're like, 5-10 drops, and that was pretty much the consensus across the board. Like actual loading or dosage, like proper dosage for athletes in regards to what they're trying to achieve, it's not really out there. I'm sure you can find it on the internet, but nobody seems to know about it that I know that's an athlete and that's tried to use a CBD product. So we figured blend the protein recovery with the CBD, because nobody's done it before. It's not out there. And, we'll put the proper dosage in there, and these guys can get the full benefit. And like I said, I've been testing it on high-end athletes, across Canada, or guys that I deal with and I train with. And, the consensus is that it makes a massive difference.
Yeah, for sure. It just seems like you put a lot into it and clearly is going well. So yeah, love to see it for sure. I even got a little bit of that in my cupboard here from the, BTC awards show there. So definitely a, quality product for sure. But just curious about this next fight here, just because, bit of a situation where he's, faced somebody who is an Ontario fighter previously, and there's such a great cross-training culture throughout, Southern Ontario and everything. I'm curious if you've gotten to work with Zach Powell or get any insights from him at all ahead of this Oduwole fight, being that they fought, a couple years ago, sort of thing.
So the thing is with Yemi called me out after I beat Sean Fallon. It was a 2-day event, so we were supposed to fight for the strike card title, and then we ended up, the week of the fight, it got moved from Indiana to Kentucky, and moved from, I guess, strike card or whatever the other promotion was called to B2, and that was because it was like due to COVID restrictions at the time. So I fought Sean Fallon the night before. And the next day, Yemi fought, he got a win, and then after he came up to me, he's like, he's just like, he was talking shit, like, me and you next, this and that. And I'm like, let's do it, man, like, no problem. And I guess, like, he had his next 5 fights up at 170. So I know Zach had fought him, but I don't think he had much of an MMA base at that time when he had fought him. So it was a pretty easy win, taking him down and beating him up there and stuff. And I've obviously trained with Zach the last few years. I haven't trained with him recently, but I'm definitely aware of it. But I prepare for everything, right? So I've seen Yemi. He can strike, and I've also seen him wrestle. He can wrestle. So I'm just preparing for every possible option. I'm not too worried about what he's going to do. My focus is what I'm going to do on fight night.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess from what you can tell, though, maybe he's like shored up a certain level of skill set since then, more so in like the grappling specific parts of the game, whereby maybe even looking at that Powell fight isn't really going to like provide much for your game plan. Like, do you think he has improved?
Powell, he was a Thai fighter, and now I feel like he's an MMA fighter, a mixed martial artist.
Yeah, for sure. It does seem like he's improved in those regards, and he did have a bit of a streak he was on after that Powell fight for sure. And yeah, so indicating that learning from the mistakes and everything like that. But just kind of curious with this one, because I guess I didn't necessarily know that backstory you touched on there, where it seems like there's, I mean, maybe you don't want to call it bad blood necessarily, but a certain sense of like banter being at play and a bit of trash talk and whatnot. Does that kind of embolden anything extra in the performance, or is it kind of inconsequential? Like, does it make it fun a little bit, or is it just whatever kind of thing?
It is what it is, man. At the end of the day, like, somebody calls me out, I'll fight them. It's just a matter of, like, they gave me his name, and I was like, hell yeah, I was all in. I signed a contract, and then we heard crickets from his side. So, I shot him a message, and I was like, are we fighting, or what's going on? And then, they sent the contract back signed, so now we're going to do it, right? So it is what it is. At the end of the day, it's fighting. So it doesn't matter what you say. It matters what you do. So I'm looking forward to fighting, and I'm excited, and there's really no bad blood or anything. Like, I mean, not in my opinion, so it is what it is.
Yeah, I guess I was like wondering, like, I mean, I guess you ultimately wouldn't know, but just like making an inference, I suppose. Like, did you think the call out was, I guess, mindful of the fact that he realizes you're like a really, tough fighter, and if he got the ideal outcome for him over you, it would kind of bolster his resume, or did it maybe seem like a personal kind of call out? Because it maybe seems like for me the former as compared to the latter, I guess.
I think I beat like his champion, which was Sean Fallon, at the strike card, and that's where he fought Powell, right? So our fight was supposed to be on that show, and it got moved due to COVID restrictions in Indiana to B2 in Kentucky. So then he fought there the next night because it was a 2-day show, and I think he saw that I beat Powell, and I think he wanted a piece of me. So now he's going to get it.
Yeah, and I love talking to you about fighting.
So he saw that I beat Sean Fallon, not Powell. He saw that I beat Sean Fallon, and Sean Fallon was their champion, right? So the promotion that he originally fought for. And so, yeah, I think he wanted a piece of me in that regard, so now we're going to do it.
Yeah, very interesting, build up to the fight and everything like that. And I love talking to you about fighting because it's very clear that it's like a big passion of yours and something that you look at through the lens of like artistic expression, as well as it being like a very, physical kind of thing. And you very much have this like locked in hyper focus on the competition. Like, how much do you, I guess, appreciate having that, canvas to paint, for lack of a better way to phrase it? Like, what's the mindset and overall set of feelings as you're like kind of getting into the cage and just really showcasing the skills and showing your passion and the arts part of mixed martial arts and all?
So you just had a piece there where you kind of drifted away from the phone, so I couldn't hear. You cut out a little bit. Can you say that again, just that end part?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I was just saying, like, how much do you, I guess, appreciate that, like, proverbial canvas to paint? Like, what's, I guess, the general mindset and set of feelings as you're out there showcasing your skills?
The mindset is paint a masterpiece, and that's what I do every time.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it a lot before. I mean, a very, crowd-pleasing style and stuff like that. So, yeah, definitely, love you bringing that to the table each time out, for sure. But I mean, it's always great getting to talk to you ahead of these different fights, man. I guess, just in being mindful of your time, a couple more questions. Like, one I certainly wanted to touch on, just in speaking about some of your, outside endeavors and some of the, great altruistic things you also do. I thought it was cool that you, visited Hannah and the team at, Campfire. And oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm not sure what's happening with that. I guess I was just referencing though, like the knockout cancer visit with campfire and whatnot.
Yeah, no, we so knockout cancer. Obviously, it's the fundraiser to raise money for cancer and just raise cancer awareness. But we also are partnering with other charities as well. So Campfire is something that essentially they raise money and do funding for kids with cancer. So we actually worked with them, and we were able to donate like 100 Playmobil toys, and we were able to send them all to the so Campfire is like a camp for kids with cancer. So, for example, if you're one of their kids had cancer and he had a port in his chest and he could never go swimming, but at Campfire they have nurses, doctors on staff, so they're able to these kids are able to be kids again, have a good time, and they also, if they need anything medically, it's right there for them. So we thought it was important to work with them and make a huge benefit if we could. So that's what we were doing with Campfire.
That's incredible, man. I mean, how much do you get out of that? I would presume that would be, very rewarding, just a very altruistic kind of effort. So, yeah, I mean, great that you're doing that. I would think you'd get a lot out of that.
Oh, absolutely. Words can't describe.
Yeah, I mean, I love that. Just such an excellent way to use your platform and your time and efforts, but in the sense of, talking about your time and how busy you generally are, I figured I'd put the ball in your court and maybe see if there's any parting final thought you might want to add as we're kind of wrapping up here, though, Adam.
Just, parting thought is, tune in next Friday, March 24th to UFC Fight Pass. Watch my fight on LFA. It's going to be exciting as hell, as usual. And, check out my links on my page. We have the personal training app that you can download, and then also check out our link on AA Knockout Cancer. And if you can donate, it would be amazing because you'd be helping a lot of people.
Yeah, a great parting thought for sure. And again, to reiterate, thanks for coming on the show. Always great getting to get your insights ahead of these different fights, and looking forward to checking it out. But until then, you have a good rest of your day, Adam.
Thanks, brother. Thanks for having me on.